Hello and welcome to episode 215 of the Thinking LSAT podcast in Brooklyn, New York. I'm Nathan Fox. With me in Vienna, Virginia, Ben Olson. Nice to see you this weekend, Ben.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
That was one of our greatest classes/weekends here in New York City. I decided not to leave. I'm just hanging out at Jason's place. The weather's too perfect, dude. I can't leave. It's too nice.
Yeah, it is good. It was just not too hot, not too cold, just right. When will you leave?
I think I'm going to probably fly on Thursday. I've got to get back to LA to teach my class this weekend, so I'll probably just hang out here for a couple more days. Good times.
Cool.
Yeah. Today on the show, we have a audio review of the LSAT Demon with a question about the future of the LSAT Demon. So I'm actually looking forward to getting your thoughts on that, Ben.
Yeah,
because I know you're managing all the development of that. We have a Pearls versus Turds submission from listener Craig. We have 2 update emails from LSAC. We got all kinds of big LSAC news these days about the logic games potentially going away, and also an update on the conversion to digital and some improvements that they're allegedly making. We have an email about LSAT burnout. We have an update from another student who randomly went to take the LSAT, and they gave her a paper test. I don't know what this kids aren't being taught how to read thing is, Ben. That must have come from you, maybe.
Nope.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see what that is. And then we have
Okay.
Kristen's personal statement. Hopefully we'll not be too long-winded, and we'll get to that.
Great.
The October LSAT is coming up on the 28th. That's a week from now when this episode airs. Good luck to everybody who's taking the October test. Boy, they're just coming at you these days, huh? The November LSAT is right around the corner after that. Less than a month behind that is the November LSAT on the 25th. That one, do you know the registration deadline for that by chance, Ben?
The November LSAT?
Yeah.
That's
Already,
today.
Oh, it's
actually,
today.
The day that we're recording.
Oh.
So by the time you hear this, it will be too late.
Nope. Hopefully you're registered for that stuff. Otherwise, you're probably not going to law school starting in 2020. You probably need to get on the 2021 cycle, which no big deal.
By the way, did you ever hear the book Paradox of Choice?
Remind me.
So the book there's a book called The Paradox of Choice. It's named after a very common theme or theory or whatever, which is also called the paradox of choice.
When you have too many choices, you don't choose anything. It's like you have less satisfaction because you have too many choices. Yeah,
exactly. So that's what I'm feeling like with all these LSATs, right? Like LSAC was like, oh, we got to be more accommodating. We're going to make more tests available to people. But I do get a lot of people who are, wait, should I take October? Should I take November? Wait, should I take January? I'm not sure if I'm going to be ready by October. Whereas before, when you only had 4 tests, it's like, well, you're not going to make it in time for September, so now you got to shoot for December. It made the decision-making process a lot easier in some ways. So we kind of have a paradox here. You have more freedom and a little more angst that comes along with it.
I'm hearing a lot of people burning up a lot of money with registration changes. I don't know if that was like LSAC's goal from doing this whole thing, but people have to register for the test so damn far in advance, and then if they discover that they're not ready, they end up having to reschedule, and it's just then you just pay so much more. What, $125 to change your date?
Yeah, well, those registration deadlines were based on a calendar that only had 4 tests before, right? So it kind of made sense, I guess, on some level. It's still way too early, but now it's like overlapping. The registration deadline is overlapping with the previous test. It's all messed up.
Well, they're clearly struggling. I mean, they need to get their shit together because they're having people register 2 months in advance for a test, and then they're like canceling the test on people at the very last minute. It's just the rollout is not going super smoothly, which, I mean, predictably, right? Because it's an incredibly complicated thing they're doing. So anyway, all right, let's get to this voice message from Julian.
Okay.
Hey, Ben and Nathan. My name is Julian. I'm a newly subscribed LSAT Demon user. I've been using it for about a week, and my scores have already improved from a diagnostic 156 to a 161. So the platform has really been helping me. My question is if you guys plan to further develop the daemon into a mobile app so users can actually answer questions and drill on the go. I know for my life, this availability could really enhance my day-to-day studying. Hope you guys are doing well, and I love the show. Thanks.
All right, so what do you think about that? We got 5-point improvement after a week of the daemon. Pretty solid.
Yeah, that's exciting to hear. I'm sure his score will go down again before it goes up.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it will just always go up, and that's great. But don't read too much into that. But it sounds like you're going in the right direction, which is good. As for the app, right? We are definitely planning to make an app. That's where the world is going on some level. And I would say, though, that in the meantime, we're focusing on Daemon 2.0. So we made the first version of the daemon, and we added a ton of features to it, and those features are now competing with each other for stability, and they create problems for people on occasion. Thankfully, they have been somewhat minimized, but right now we're 100% focused on fixing those as part of the rehaul. And once the rehaul is done, then we can start talking about creating an app. Although from what I understand, once we know what we want, which will be finalized in Daemon 2.0, creating the app isn't too difficult. Now, again, I don't know when that will happen. Right now, we're just concerned about getting a stable version of the daemon out that works for everyone.
Cool.
Not just 98% of the users.
Yeah, and it does work. I mean, mobile right now, right? Like I have the daemon saved as an icon on my home screen of my phone, and I just click on it, and it loads the mobile website, and it looks and feels like an app, and I can do LSAT questions from anywhere on the daemon. So anyway.
No, that's a very good point. It is on your phone. You can do it in your browser. I know some people prefer using it in an app, and there are some advantages to that, and that's what we want to take advantage of eventually. Yeah,
eventually we'll get there. Okay, cool. Well, thanks, Julian. Good luck with the daemon. Don't forget to hit the ask button if you're struggling with something and you need more clarification. We'll get right on it. We're there to help. Cool. Pearls versus turds. You want to read this one?
Sure. Nathan and Ben, I am early on in my LSAT journey and a new listener to your podcast, which I think is fantastic. Well, thanks. Thank you for the content. I'm an older applicant, and my tendency toward creative problem solving was initially a detriment to my LSAT performance. When I first started studying, I would sometimes predict the wrong answer choice or be attracted to a wrong choice that looked interesting. I developed a mental test for myself that solved this problem, and I suspect that it may help others. The correct answer will make you think, no duh, not aha. Okay. This has been a pearl for me, and I hope it will be for someone else as well. Regards, Craig. What's your reaction to this?
It's more of a turd than a pearl. I mean, the correct answer frequently makes me feel like aha. I think it maybe just depends on the question type. Like, if this is a must be true or a supported or a role, a reasoning question where it's top down, then yeah, I think the correct answer probably feels like no shit, kind of. Right? Like, well, yeah, I mean, that's the answer because that's what it said. Or on reading comp, it's like, well, that's the answer because that's what it said.
Sure.
But on paradox questions or strengthen or weaken questions, frequently the answer is like, oh, I see. Yeah, boy. Like on a strengthen question, a lot of times they'll be like, oh, yeah, that helps the argument a lot. Wow, yeah, Or on a weaken question, it's like, oh boy, I didn't even think about that. But holy shit, like, yeah, if that's true, then this is going to be a big problem for the argument. So, and on paradox questions, that's literally what I'm looking for is aha. Right? On a paradox question, there's a mystery, and then the correct answer is going to provide a satisfying solution to the mystery. And so that's never like, no duh. That's more, it's definitely more like, oh yeah, okay, I see. If that's true, then wow,
Yeah.
So I'm a little concerned with, if you look at the higher up paragraph part of Craig's email, people get this thing of like they think that they predict the wrong answer.
Yeah.
That's not true. Because what you're doing is you're making a prediction and then you're getting locked into it, and then you're like forcing an answer that doesn't actually say what you think it says. Right?
Yeah.
Like there's a reason why that answer is wrong, Craig. And it's not just like, oh, well, it has two of the words that I predicted, so therefore I picked it. Yeah, I know, but did you read all the other words in it? Because all the other words in it make it conclusively wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know. You have anything else?
No, well, I would just add that, yeah, these arguments can have more than one problem. And when you're predicting a solution to that problem, or you're saying, oh, here's what I think is wrong with your argument, that could certainly be a problem. And you just didn't see another problem. Or it's possible that you're going after premises when you shouldn't be, and therefore you're predicting problems that aren't actually there, or you're creating problems that aren't there. So it's hard to say for sure, but it's very possible that you did predict a problem correctly. You just didn't also open your mind to other possible problems as you were looking at the answer choices. And you, like you said, locked on to that answer or that prediction and then forced one of the wrong answers into that.
Yeah, like the answer, I mean, okay, arguments can have infinite assumptions, right? Like you can have, they almost by definition have infinite assumptions, necessary assumptions, right?
Sure.
Every way you can think of that the argument could fail, well, there's a necessary assumption that protects against that failure. And so if you predict an answer, you're like, well, you're assuming this. Yeah, but they also might be assuming a million other things. And just because you predicted one assumption, when you go into the answer choices, you have to make sure that that answer actually says what you think it says. I mean, there aren't ever two correct answers. Like out of the 5, only one of them is going to be right. And so you have to make sure that you're, reading every single word of that answer. And does it actually answer this question, or does it just have like kind of similar sort of the words, and then you're just like pretending like it means something that it doesn't actually mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, I can't imagine myself teaching this. I think maybe, Craig, you got to be thinking about two different families of question types. Where the no duh, I think that's more the right answer on a top-down question. But on a bottom-up question, I think it's very frequently much more like aha.
I mean, there certainly are no does in bottom-up.
Yeah.
When you see the problem and you see an answer that fits or fixes that, you're like, yeah, that's especially like insufficient assumption.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I'm going to go into these answers 9 times out of 10 with a prediction, but also just zeroed in on the conclusion and saying, hey, which one, if true, would weaken the conclusion? And certainly there are cases where it's like, oh, well, yeah, that's not good for the conclusion, and that's not what I predicted, but that's okay, because the prediction process helps you identify what the conclusion is and how well it's supported and how well it's not supported.
We had one over the weekend where I was doing an explanation, and I kind of made a semi-ass of myself, where I had this objection, and I was like yelling about it, like how how obviously like this is a problem, and I'm trying to explain it to the class, and then I get into the answer choices, and it wasn't there, but I did, when I saw the right answer, I still immediately went like, oh yeah, that's a problem that I didn't see. I had missed that, and yet I can still pick it because I know what the right answer feels like. So even if it's not exactly what I predicted, it's just like, oh yeah, but this also will do that same thing. I want to be generous to give this a tie, but I'm not sure I can.
Yeah, it's also kind of vague. I mean, a lot of people are going to hear no duh and aha, and
all right. Sorry,
what does
Craig.
that mean?
You got put into the turd pile, Craig. What do you think about the PS?
P.S. Here's a bonus pro regarding personal statements. I once heard from Elvis, a little less conversation, a little more action. Again, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of vague. And so, yeah, I agree. We keep saying tell us more about what you've done.
Yeah.
And a little bit less about what you've said. So I think that's good.
Yeah, it's showing, not telling. I'm willing to give Craig credit for that one. Because we do need lots of showing. Like, what people just love to say how they felt about stuff, and it's like, I don't care how you felt about it. You have to show me what you did about it.
Yeah, or what I learned, or
yeah, I learned this. I felt this. I was reading one yesterday where there were like 3 separate descriptions of heart racing in one part, and then like a pit in my stomach on another part of the statement, and then clammy hands or shaky hands in some other part of the statement. And it's like, I get that you're trying to be descriptive, but all you're doing is bullshitting. That's all just editorializing, like telling me, your feelings. And I don't care how clammy your hands were if you don't like immediately tell me what you did about it.
Yeah.
So anyway, a little less conversation, a little more action in your personal statement. I can get down with that.
Sure.
All right. LSAC update number 1. This came out last week, Tuesday, right after we recorded the podcast. So sorry if it seems like we're a little bit late to the party on this one. But Above the Law posted it's a blog post that says, major changes coming to the LSAT with removal of logic games section. Subheadline, the LSAT will be forever changed thanks to this landmark settlement. This article pissed me off because it was like, this person from Above the Law just like blanket decided that the logic games are bad. And because people struggle with it, therefore they're bad.
Yeah.
Like, this is the lead of the story. How much better would your score on the LSAT have been if the logic games section wasn't on the exam?
For a lot of people, it'd be worse.
For many people, it would be worse, especially people who worked hard enough to learn how to do the games and then score perfectly on the games.
Yeah.
It's like that. I always say that the LSAT's a test of how hard you can work, especially the logic games. It's a test of how hard you can work. It's an opportunity to demonstrate that you're a hard worker. I wasn't naturally good at the games. Ben, you weren't naturally good at the games.
Nope.
But you did the work. Oh, by the way, I'm a first-generation college student. I did the work. I learned how to do the games. I killed the games. Like, by the time I sat for the test, I knew I was going to score perfectly on the games. But that's bad. Anyway.
Yeah.
The actual news is that the LSAC was getting sued again, this time by a legally blind aspiring law student. And I get it. I mean, I totally get this part of it, that, we do teach people to do diagrams, like written down, like visual, like spatial solutions to these games. It's like putting things in order and putting things in groups. And I mean, there's even like mapping games and stuff, right? Where it's like clearly, you're drawing something.
Yeah.
And so I guess this lawsuit was going for 8 years, and it finally settled. And let me see. Should we read the press release? Should we read the excerpt from the press release?
I don't know that we need to necessarily. The point is that they're now going to work toward a solution, but they haven't committed to anything, right?
Right. I mean, it's I guess I'll read this excerpt that they've got here. LSAC has begun research and development into alternative ways to assess analytical reasoning skills as part of a broader review of all question types to determine how the fundamental skills for success in law school can be reliably assessed in ways that offer improved accessibility for all test takers. Consistent with the parties' agreement, LSAC will complete this work within the next 4 years, which will enable all prospective law school students to take an exam administered by LSAC that does not have the current AR section. We call that logic games. Everybody calls it, they call it analytical reasoning for some reason, but continues to assess analytical reasoning abilities. So, and then there was an email that came out directly from LSAC to us, like LSAC licensees, test prep
Yeah.
providers. And it was basically just like, we're going to exhaustively, intensively review and test and data analyze this for 4 years. And, it was much more tepid, right? So like the big headlines are like, logic games are gone. And I get like all these phone calls and emails and stuff like, Nathan, what are you going to do now that the logic games are gone? And I'm like, the logic games ain't gone. They're not gone not for anyone who is studying for the LSAT right now. I mean, unless you're planning to go to law school 5 years from now.
Yeah, they're not gone. And the other thing is, what are they going to come up with? I wouldn't be surprised if getting good at the logic games ends up helping people with whatever they come up with, because it's still going to test analytical reasoning. And so although you might have a shift in skills that you're going to develop, I don't imagine it's going to be too earth-shattering.
These changes happen very, very slowly, and I don't know. What do you think? They should just make the whole test logical reasoning.
Well, that would be my preference.
That makes kind of the most sense. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the most lawyerly, really.
Yeah.
I think it's fun to teach. I think it should be fun for people to study and to learn. I mean, if not, I don't know what kind of a lawyer you're going to really be. Like, if you don't like analyzing people's arguments and thinking about the holes you could poke in them, then I don't know, that's lawyer shit. So, it seems to me like they could just make the whole thing logical reasoning. But I never understood the difference really there's a difference between logical reasoning and analytical reasoning. I don't know. I'm clearly,
especially if you like had a few more like kind of formulaic LR questions, if you really want to get into that,
Oh, the like real technical ones. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow, that's news that's like almost no news. This other quote: rather than engage in a lengthy and expensive lawsuit, we prefer to invest our resources in researching new and innovative ways to assess analytical reasoning and other critical skills that are needed for success in law school. They also had a bunch of bullshit in there, of course, about justice and access and all, like this just...
Let's shorten that for them. We lost. We caved.
We lost again. We caved again. And we're going to have to very, very slowly make some changes. All right.
They fought for 8 years. So how can they even say that? Or was the 8 years made up? I mean, maybe above the law is wrong. But
here's the email that they sent us. Here's the pertinent paragraph from the email they sent us.
Okay.
Should there be any significant changes to format? This is from LSAC.
Not saying that there will be.
Yeah, this is not even admitting that there is. Just, should there be any significant changes to format, extensive research and development, followed by several stages of pilot testing and data analysis, would be required to ensure the continued validity, reliability, and fairness of the test. Therefore, it is too early in the process to speculate on how the test will evolve as a result of our ongoing research. We will keep our community apprised as we move forward. You know what it really sounds to me like? That the LSAC said, fuck you. They dug in and they actually defended themselves for 8 years. And then finally ended up with a settlement that's like not where the plaintiffs got to declare victory.
Yeah.
Even though it wasn't actually victory. This seems like a very hollow victory for this guy.
It does. Well, yeah, it's like a war of attrition, right?
Right. Well, that's litigation, right?
Yeah, that is litigation. And for this guy, I mean, really, he's just spent 8 years of his life. What's his goal in life? He's really concerned about the injustice that's been imposed upon fellow blind applicants. I mean, yeah, maybe so. And so he sees this as his life calling, but it's really put back his law career, right? He's now, well, maybe it's catapulted it. I don't know, but he still hasn't taken the LSAT apparently. And now he's going to work with LSAC for the next 4 years. Like, I guess I feel like there are much bigger problems in the world to be trying to solve. And I don't know. I guess I'm ignoring the problems of those blind test takers, but I don't know. I haven't ever heard any other blind test takers complaining about this. Why hasn't this come up before?
I don't know. Yeah, I've had, a couple of visually impaired students in my classes over the years. I remember them struggling more. I mean, and they weren't like, totally, completely blind. But I have had like a couple students who needed large format print, or like even people like with a magnifying glass in class, because they were like really struggling to see, but they were struggling on like the entire test, logical reasoning and reading comprehension and everything, just because they couldn't like actually see the words. This thing of, the guy can't draw a diagram. I mean, yeah, I get it. And if, hey, maybe they just determined that, your ability to put things in sequence is irrelevant to being a lawyer. Fine. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, good, whatever. Good for him. He felt like he, wanted justice, and I'm not sure he got it. I don't know that he like actually won anything,
Yeah.
This Above the Law article, I just don't understand what people are thinking. Like the last paragraph, when asked if he would be taking the LSAT again, Benno, that's the plaintiff, said, quote, "Yes, and I will pass." Is that a real quote? Because the LSAT's not pass, no pass.
Yeah, I hope it's not a real quote, because if this guy is engaged in 8 years of litigation and he thinks the LSAT is a pass-fail test, he's not the one who should be working on its revision.
Right. And then the article, the writer here from Above the Law, and she doesn't seem to really understand the test either, because congratulations to Angelo Benno on this hard-fought victory, which will not only benefit him, but all future law students. Well done! Exclamation point.
Yeah. And it's clickbait too, right? Major changes coming in 4 years, and they might not be major.
And it's not. It's like where the editorial. I guess it's an editorial. It's presented as a news item because it has a headline and a subhead, and it's like reporting on this news that came out. But then it's got the "well done" at the end of it, like a celebration. I don't know, man. Okay. Anyhow, want to move on to the next thing?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Right. So this is a blog post. Again, it's an email about a blog post, but this was sent out to, again, all test prep providers. Maybe you want to just read the email?
Sure. This is from LSAC. Dear colleagues, with the September score release coming up on Monday and the October 28th test rapidly approaching, I wanted to make sure you saw the blog post that we published earlier today on our Lawfully blog. Lawfully.
They think they're being clever with the name of their blog, which is Law:fully. Get it, Ben?
I don't get it.
Lawfully.
No, I don't get it.
No, I don't get
Lawfully.
it. It's dumb. Whatever. It's just, I don't.
I was like, is that a person?
You could just call it our blog, the LSAC blog. But anyway.
Boring as shit.
Yeah.
Come here. Titled heading into the October LSAT, updates based on lessons learned. Oh, jeez. Okay, so then we have a link to the blog post. It says, the blog post includes some great information. Oh, geez, you're sounding like Trump. The blog post includes it's perfect. It's the perfect blog post about the September score release, as well as updated statistics on our October and November registration numbers. Most important, the blog post includes some updated policies that we are putting into place for the October test. I wanted to be sure you were aware and that you pass them on to your students, because there's some good news for test takers. Geez, I've heard like good, important, great, but I haven't heard any actual information.
Trumpian, man. It's just the time we're in.
It's very Trumpian.
Yeah,
we should start doing this. This is such a perfect email.
It needs more caps, though. It needs to randomly capitalize
need more
things,
caps.
like lessons learned.
Randomly capitalize. And then random, like, periods. Okay. Number one. That is so depressing. I can't believe
the fact that the president is, like, just an absolute idiot. It's so embarrassing. I can't believe he's still like tweeting. It's just, I don't know. There was a time that the president was like an educated person.
You remember when he started tweeting after he got elected and everybody's like, oh, we thought he was going to stop once he became actual president. Like, he could stop campaigning and fighting in that way and be reined in and be normal.
No, because he's like a child. He's like not a smart child either.
Okay, so anyways, let's see. What are these points? So point number 1, LSAC is allowing almost complete freedom. Ooh, almost complete freedom. Dude,
do you know what almost complete freedom means? You know what almost complete means? It means not complete. No.
Yep.
Yeah.
Incomplete freedom. LSAC is allowing incomplete freedom in the tablet kickstand angle. So test takers can adjust the tablet angle to virtually any position that's most comfortable for them and minimizes any glare in their test center. Oh, should have done that a long time ago. By the way, about this phrase, this is a bit of a tangent, but when we were flying out to New York City, right, we were on the tarmac for 3 hours.
Uh-huh.
And
yeah, that sucks.
At one point, the flight was ultimately canceled, as you know, and we came up on the train. But at one point, the pilot got on and said, or I don't know who it was, but he said, all right, in about 15 minutes, you're going to have the luxury to get off the plane if you'd like to get off. I was like, that's a luxury?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Just an interesting twist of phrase.
Ground delays are the worst, man. I feel for you on that. I fly very frequently, and I'm like very calm. I realized the other day that I'm my best me when I'm at the airport. You know, everybody else is their worst them. Like people completely freak out at the airport and just like are miserable humans. Because I fly so frequently and I have, friends that are pilots and stuff, I'm like totally chill at the airport. It's I just like it's like I just do the exact reverse of what everybody else does. So I'm like not stressed at all. I'm like totally cool at the airport only.
Yeah.
It's the one time where I will be like better than everyone else is just when I'm at the airport. But I'm like smiling. I'm like talking to random strangers, smiling at people, trying to like make sure people are having a good day, like especially to the employees who work for the airlines, because the passengers are just like total dicks to the airline employees.
Yeah.
Like as if it's their fault that the flight's delayed or whatever, but
yeah.
I do feel you. It's painful when they put you on the plane and then you have to sit there. And you were there, you said, for 2 to 3 hours?
Yeah, it actually ended up, I thought it was initially 2, but then when I did the math afterwards, we were on there for 3 hours.
Ugh.
The thing was they kept saying like, oh, we're going to leave in about 15 minutes or 30 minutes or something. And so I just kept doing email. And
well, at least you had work to do. That's good.
Yeah. And then eventually I was like, I just thought it was funny when he said, you have the luxury of getting off this plane. I was like,
yeah,
I don't know if I'd call that a luxury. Like, let's just like, thank you.
It's a disaster when the longer it delays, the more chance it is that it's just going to get canceled because the crew will time out at a certain point. Right?
That's what happened. Yeah, the crew timed out and they said, I'm sorry, you have to get off. And then,
oh, man. So. That's so bad. Ouch. Well, then you got to take a lovely train ride.
Yeah. And next time I'll be taking the train, I think. I mean, really, it wasn't that much difference in price and
a lot more,
getting to the airport.
A lot more reliable, and you can stretch out. Yeah. Yeah, I think the train is the way to go if you can.
Cool.
So almost
kickstands.
Kickstand on their tablet that they gave you, and then they also though told you that you couldn't use the full functionality of the kickstand. But now, because people complained because of glare or whatever, now you can put it in virtually any position.
Awesome.
What does that mean?
I don't know. Are they still going to have... Yeah, you're going to walk around and people are still going to be like, well, I mean, I guess you can't lay it flat.
Or do they have like are they going around with like a protractor
to
like measure the angle?
Right? They were. You heard about that, no?
Yeah. This reminds me of like high school in the like 1950s when the teacher would go around with a ruler to check to make sure that girls' skirts weren't too far up above their knee. You know what I mean? Like the measuring, like... You 3 inches above your... Oh yeah, they totally did. Yeah,
I guess that makes sense.
the LSAC proctor going around the room with a measuring device of some sort to make sure that your thing is not propped up too high. So that someone, oh my God. Anyway, next, what's the next bullet?
Okay, so things are supposedly going to be better in that regard. The next thing is based on feedback from test takers. Oh, and the first one wasn't based on feedback? We're improved. We're improved?
We're improved. Yeah, that needs to be we've improved. But anyway, go ahead.
No, sorry, I have to harp on that for a second. We've improved the quality of the scratch paper. Oh, yeah, that was our number one concern.
That makes me laugh.
Starting with the October test, the scratch paper for digital test takers will have stronger and white paper. What?
Whiter.
Will have stronger. Oh, and whiter. Okay. Still, stronger and whiter paper with a much less prominent security watermark. These people.
Yeah. It's funny. I guess they're just lawyers. And lawyers are just the worst. So, it's hilarious that when they gave out the scratch paper, that was the surprise, right, from that July launch of the digital LSAT. We knew that they were going to be handing out scratch paper, but we didn't know there was going to be a huge, bold LSAC watermark right across the middle of the pages. And we heard from tons of people who were pissed off about that watermark. Apparently, it was real annoying.
Well, I wanted to know what their purpose is. So they're like, when you're leaving the test room, they can ask to see all your papers, and they'll know right away whether it's...
But you can't bring any papers into the test in the first place.
Yeah,
so
why are you leaving with paper? And how are you going to see that paper? Someone's got it in their pocket, and you're gonna ask them to pull their pockets out?
They're just insanely protective of their... just insanely protective of their intellectual property.
Yeah, but no, I don't feel like the eye is on the ball here.
Yeah. Oh, and also they had to make stronger paper because people apparently were ripping through the paper with their pencil. Like LSAC only gave out single ply scratch paper, so now they're going for the full luxury Charmin.
Huh?
Yeah,
they did that that's how they've done the LSAT for a long time, right? When the test is paper based, it's still on paper that's kind of like phone book paper,
kind of shitty.
Yeah,
cheap. They need to. Boy, for $200, they could get some serious high quality paper. They really could afford some serious paper.
Yeah.
Anyhow, both of these things are, it's an indication that they're listening. I mean, kind of.
Kind of, yeah. No, it is. I mean, they're taking some action, so that's good. I got to read the rest of this email. He continues, the blog post outlines other steps we are taking to make the October test administration even smoother, including ongoing training for our test center staff to further reduce check-in times and technical issues. Take a look, and I hope you will share this information with your students. Please let me know if you have any questions. It's just more Trumpian stuff. It's going to be even smoother. It's going to be awesome. We're going to do ongoing training. Really? Like, I'm wondering how they're going to pull that off. You have proctors all over the country, and I don't even know if you know who your staff are, right? Like, they're just like assigning this to a school, and the school says, okay, we'll do it. And then people have to volunteer to come in and proctor.
I'm looking at the blog post now.
Oh,
currently,
is it
19.
Great.
Yeah, it's great. There are currently 19,600 people registered for the October test and 27,700 registrants for the November test. That's kind of crazy that there's 50% more signed up for November than October. Maybe that's just because September was also there. We guarantee that everyone who registers for the LSAT by the respective deadlines will have the opportunity to take the test. I guess that's a response to the cancellations from last time. But it's meaningless. We guarantee that they will have the opportunity to take the test. Maybe not that day though. Right? Because that's what happened with the people who who got the last minute cancellations, they just got like an email saying, "Oh yeah, well you could take it. We'll tell you when you're going to take it." And then some people got an email like 4 days before they were supposed, like, "Okay, yeah, you're registered for the test now 4 days from now." Instead of the date you scheduled 2 months ago when you registered.
Yeah.
Anyway. What the hell? We encourage test takers to spend time on familiar.lsac.org to familiarize themselves with the layout and features of the digital test, and to try both the stylus and their fingertip during the tutorial session at their test center so that they know what works best for them. So you can use your finger or you can use the stupid stylus.
Okay.
We won't. Sweet. It doesn't say anything about like in the email. It said that there was going to be some like information about the training or whatever that they were going to do for the testing centers. Yeah. But all I see here is one sentence that says, "We won't be satisfied until every test taker has a smooth and positive test day. So we've been providing additional training, guidance, and technical support to our testing centers so they can deliver a great experience in October."
Okay, that's just fantasy. It's impossible for every single test taker to have a smooth test day. Like it's blind ignorance. Like, even if you're a badass company and you have all your shit together and everything's operating at top-notch capacity, that's just an impossible goal.
Well, they don't understand their own tests, right? I mean, when you hear them talk about accommodations, for example, the fact that they think people are supposed to be finishing the test means they don't understand their own test.
Yeah.
Because it's actually much easier to score 160. You know, if you're still trying to get to 160, you should not be finishing the test.
Nope.
But when they talk about accommodations, they talk about it as if like, yeah, everyone who got accommodated had plenty of time to finish the test, as if that's a good thing. Yeah. But it's just clearly not. You're not supposed to be finishing the test. Not until you're going to score in the 90th or higher, 95th percentile or higher, right? Like 170 or higher.
Yeah.
Anyway, I had dinner last night with randomly a friend of a friend who is a psychometrician.
Okay. Yeah. Someone who studies test taking and standardized tests.
Yeah.
Yep.
She works for, I think she works for ETS. But anyway, I'm going to try to get more in touch with her because she was shocked. I was telling her a bunch of stuff about the LSAC, and she's like, "Well, the people that I talked to at the LSAC, they didn't tell me that." I'm like, well, they might not know, or they might be keeping secrets. But one thing she was shocked about the LSAC licensing program. Just the fact that they have 91 practice tests and that you have to pay for 87 of those. Mm-hmm. And that the LSAC themselves sells books of their own tests. As much as they just like love talking about justice and access and all that shit. I mean, the fact that they have license fees for their questions.
Yeah.
When I told her, like the amount of the check I wrote to LSAC last year for my license fee for my books and stuff and classes and stuff, she was just like, couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So anyway, I might get some more inside information from my new psychometrician friend.
Cool.
All right. Anything else about these updates?
No.
All right. Next thing on the agenda. Oh, this email about LSAT burnout. You got it?
Sure. Hey, guys. I'm curious on your take on LSAT burnout. I've been studying steadily since January, wrote in June, and writing again in November. Just FYI, writing means taking. So in
Canada?
Yeah. I've been studying about an hour a day and a little bit more on weekends. However, recently I've started getting headaches by the end of the workday, which makes studying in the evening almost unbearable. I'm sleeping 8 to 10 hours a night, but still waking up exhausted. I don't know if this is LSAT burnout. This sounds like something else. If you're only studying an hour a day and a little more on weekends, that sounds about right. It's hard to imagine you getting burnout from that. That's my reaction.
Sounds like burnout from work.
Yeah.
I mean, like your job, you might just need to put your job into a little bit more of a box, Although, boy, sleeping 8 to 10 hours a night and still waking up exhausted. I mean, that almost sounds like depression or I don't know. That sucks, Larissa. Sorry about that.
I do know that a lot of things can mess with your sleep if you drink or whatever right before you go to sleep.
Yeah, well, having your phone right by the side of your bed is also bad, right? Looking at your phone like right until the very last second before you crash.
Yeah.
One suggestion, Larissa, would be to just study in the morning instead of studying after work. If you're getting headaches at the end of the workday and then you're going to sit there and try to study the LSAT and it's unbearable, as a general rule, if you find the LSAT unbearable, don't do it. I mean, even if that means just like forget about being a lawyer. If you think the LSAT is unbearable, wait for the horrors that are in store for you when you get to law school and the bar exam.
Yep.
You know, it's just like sometimes it's not the right fit for everybody. So you got to figure out a way to like change your mindset. Maybe studying before work would be better. Maybe, start leaving. I love your tip, Ben, to leave work on time. Just like, what are my hours I'm supposed to be working? And when it hits 5 o'clock or whatever it is, you should just be out of there. Because you got to take care of yourself, right? Like you got to protect the asset. Larissa, your best asset is just you, and you got to get yourself into better shape. She's been studying for a long time, studying steadily. She says since January, and she's taking it again in November. I don't know why she took it in June, and then now she's taking it in November. So she skipped July, September, and October. Yeah, I mean, maybe she just was a mile away. She probably shouldn't have even taken the June test, would be my guess. Anyhow, if you, one tip I give all the time, if you think you need a day off, you do need a day off. Right? If it even crosses your mind, like, I wonder if I'm burning out. Well, then definitely you're burnt. Yeah. You got to take some time off.
Yeah. Although here, so take some time off, but I wonder if the source of the burnout is LSAT. It sounds like you said, it's work or something else. I mean, that doesn't seem normal to just start getting headaches by the end of the day of work. Yeah.
Combination of work and the LSAT at the same time, just burning the candle from both ends for too long.
Maybe, yeah.
Vacation from work, shorten your work days. I don't know. All right, let's pick up the pace a little bit here. We got an email from Kendall with an update. So I show up to take my exam, and guess what? The test is in paper format. I never got an email from LSAC with this information, but apparently some others that I talked to didn't either. Apparently they gave you the choice to take it today. This was from an email that they sent out, where they gave you a choice to take it today in paper format, or schedule for a later test date and take it digitally, or receive a refund. If I did see that email, I still would have taken it, but being properly prepared would have been nice. I didn't have a watch, so it was hard to pace myself, and I had to bubble in my answers, which, as you know, I didn't have to do with the digital format. Ah, LSAC, the gift that keeps on giving. Thanks, Kendall.
Yeah, that's one thing I really like about the digital LSAT. I like the getting rid of bubbling.
The Scantron, yeah. The Scantron.
I know it's only a minute and a half and stuff, but it's just kind of a pain, and it's very nice to change an answer and instantly have it go from a cleanly bubbled A to a cleanly bubbled D, and then instantly back to a cleanly bubbled A.
The whole purpose of a Scantron is so that they could like score the tests quickly, which they didn't do anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully they'll be able to start turning the tests around, the scores around more quickly now with the new digital format, but that's unlikely. Anyway,
all right,
be prepared.
Takeaway here.
Yeah.
You might show up and it's paper. That's not surprising given what we talked about. They have a limited number of digital devices.
It reminds me of us teaching our class in the hotel in Manhattan. We don't know if everybody's device is going to work properly. We don't know if the hotel Wi-Fi is going to work properly. So we show up with 10 backup paper tests. And yeah, sure enough, there's gremlins for a few of the people, couldn't get the hotel Wi-Fi to work or whatever. And so next thing you know, we're handing out paper tests to those people. And that's a hell of a lot better than, what happened to some of those people who got their test canceled at the last minute.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. At least you had your choice. Well, anyway.
What is this next?
I have no idea. It's addressed to me, but I don't. I'm seeing this right now. It says kids aren't being taught how to read. Okay, that's the title. Ben, this is addressed to me apparently. I heard you mention on a previous podcast that you never learned how to sound out words and that you just memorized them. Yeah, that is true, actually. I think you will find this podcast extremely fascinating and disturbing. Hard words. Why American kids aren't being taught to read. Okay. Oh, podcast highlights. Thanks, Katie. Scientific research has shown how children learn to read and how they should be taught, but many educators don't know the science and in some cases actively resist it. As a result, millions of kids are being set up to fail. In 2017, only 36% of 8th grade students were proficient or advanced in reading, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, when it comes to sounding out words, I know I have all sorts of issues. I really don't know how things are supposed to sound together. So what I do is I just listen to the word. So if it's a word I know, I know what it means, and I just remember what it sounds like, and I just say it. You've heard me slaughter words all the time on the show.
It's bizarre. Or like when you encounter someone's name, an unfamiliar word, you like can't sound it out.
No, I revert back to like, 6th grade, like letter guessing. It's weird. I also went to like a reading specialist, I think, for a couple years when I was a kid, because I think they were like, something's wrong with this guy. Now, keep in mind, this is different from understanding the meaning of the word. There are so many words that I see and I know what it means, but I just don't know how to say it out loud. And I do this in class too. I'll replace those words with just like letters. I'll be like, oh, that's A. I don't know. Yeah. So I could I guess sit down and learn it. But the thing is if a word is common enough, then I've heard it. And so then I know how it sounds and I just say it.
I'm just scanning this blog post and it's all about the like phonics versus whole language debate that people have had about how you're supposed to teach kids to read. I don't know. It might be interesting. We can post it on the show notes. There's a table here showing that in 2017, it's showing a slightly rising trend, but it's this is from the National Assessment of Educational Progress, and it has 37% of fourth graders proficient or advanced in reading. So, I mean, whatever. That's like semantics, right? Someone defined what proficient is for a fourth grader.
Sure.
So it's almost meaningless, I suppose. But it's saying
I don't understand the difference between 4th grade and 8th grade. It's showing that like some of these are the same or going down. I guess we'll have to read the article.
No, it's around the exact same. It's around 30% basically of fourth graders and 8th graders are what someone defined as proficient in reading.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think I'm like becoming just more cranky old man, but I see my students. I'm pretty shocked at how bad they are at reading and writing. Like college graduates. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Like I have lots of students from UC Berkeley in my class in San Francisco, and some of them are awesome. And some of them I'm like, how did you possibly get a degree from UC Berkeley?
Yeah.
And that's like a great school.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on lots of other schools that aren't Berkeley. Mm-hmm. I just like, I don't know. It's like everybody can go to college and just borrow all this money. And then like, I just don't know whether they're actually learning anything. So
yeah,
it doesn't surprise me if kids aren't being taught how to read in school.
Yeah. I'll check this out.
What's that?
By the way, this is total tangent, but I just realized too that like all our kids, so I have 4 kids, right? Mm-hmm. And all of them are bad at the reading process. So like sounding out words. So they're like a year and in some cases 2 years behind their class, but then their math is a year to 2 years ahead. It's like this weird problem that we always have to deal with the schools because they're like, we don't know where to put your kid because they're so ahead in math and they're so far behind in reading. And then it's happened for each of our kids. So it's like, okay, well, I don't know what genetic mess up we have here, but it's one of the problems when 2 people meet in a econometrics class, I guess.
Gotcha.
But so there's some genetic basis here, I think. That's all.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, I hope the boys are all right. They're
Yeah, well, no, you just keep working. It's not like I can't read. It's about sounding out, in this, at least for me at this point.
right. Should we dive into Kristen's personal statement?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, this is perfect. I do not know this person. Well, I mean, maybe I do, but I don't. There's a lot of Kristens in the world, so I have no idea who we're talking about. This is ideal because it's like I get to now experience this as if I'm reading it as an actual admissions person. You know, like this is my introduction to Kristen. Mm-hmm. Here we go. My gaze was focused on a man in a teal hat sitting 17 rows up, 8 seats in.
Okay, it's kind of odd to start with you looking at someone. And it wasn't even you looking, it was your gaze.
Yeah, the subject of the sentence is my gaze. The verb in the sentence is was. You could have said I focused, which would make you the subject, and focused the verb.
Yeah.
Is focused an adverb when you say that way? My gaze was focused on a man in a teal hat?
No, it's just part of the verb phrase.
Oh, it is. Was focused is the verb. Okay, well. Anyway, all right, so you're looking at a dude.
Yeah.
In my prize bag, I gripped the signed jersey that, unbeknownst to him, he was about to win. Okay, so now I'm thinking she's working at a stadium and she's giving out prizes.
Yep. And somehow they randomly choose people and she knows who it is.
That's another weird sentence. In my prize bag, I gripped.
Yeah. The 2 action verbs you've given us so far are pretty uneventful. Focusing on looking at someone and then holding a shirt. This isn't lawyer shit yet.
No, it's not. At the next whistle, and then there's a name of a hockey team, but it's redacted here so that she doesn't have to give away, who she works for.
Sure.
At the next whistle, the redacted hockey game would pause for a 3-minute TV commercial break.
Okay, you're not doing anything.
The verb
Something
there
just
is
happened.
pause, huh? Mm-hmm. The game would pause for a whistle. Okay. During this time, the man in the teal hat's seat number would appear on the Jumbotron as the winning seat, followed by a live shot of me giving him the jersey for the 17,500 fans in attendance to see.
Okay, we just finished the first paragraph, and I'm still wondering what the point of this is.
Well, yeah, I'm like, okay, so you're a swag girl at a sports game.
Okay.
Nothing wrong with that. It's just that it's like that's what the only thing I've learned about you is that you have that job, which great. Yeah. Jobs are great. But like
jobs are great.
They are. I mean, like if you're doing things, that's awesome. But and just even the fact that you just like whatever. I get like, hey, you work for a living, or you like. Or I'm imagining this is some sort of like a college job or whatever. But like, yeah, you're like a working person. That's great.
Yeah.
But like, you didn't do anything yet. You're standing there waiting for the commercial.
Yeah.
All right. It's like she's trying to be cinematic, right? With like offering this exciting moment. Like, hey, ooh, isn't this exciting? It's a prize. He's going to get a shirt. I mean, it's a signed jersey. I'm sure it's a big deal. But still. All right. The difference between the audience's experience as opposed to what goes on behind the scenes of a game is what baffled me the most when I started working in game day operations for the redacted name of the team.
Okay. So you were confused about how things go on behind the scenes.
Yeah, and it's vague too. So wait, you're baffled by the difference between the audience's experience as opposed to what goes on behind the scenes. Why is that baffling? Of course the audience doesn't know what's going on behind the scenes.
I don't know.
But you're supposed to be putting your best foot forward here, Kristen, and you're just not. You're like, This is a very common mistake that people talk about things that they're confused about or things that they're bad at. Baffled and confused and stuck and feeling hurt and awful and scared and all that. It's like, I thought you were supposed to be making a case for yourself.
Yeah.
Weeks of contacting sponsors, planning, and negotiating contracts worth up to $300,000 are sunk into the preparation of a 3-minute promotion. My job is to execute these promotions and to excite the crowd in a way that leaves a positive impression regarding the sponsor in their mind. How I execute each of the sponsor's promotions directly affects their satisfaction with the franchise and the likelihood of them continuing to partner with us. You know, I think she needs to move this whole story into the office. Don't you think?
I'm curious to see what she has to say. I can see that she's like showing us the end result, right? And that could be helpful, but there would be definitely things I'd want to take out of here. I don't know. I'm curious. 2
paragraphs in, and now we're starting to get the sense of like, okay, so she actually is in charge of putting these promotions together. That's great. But like the first paragraph, she seems like a, just a normal person, employee, like doesn't seem like she's in charge of anything.
Yep. She's like been told what to do. Which seat? Okay.
Yeah. So I read that first thing and it's just like, what? Okay. So you have a $10 an hour job working at the stadium handing out shit. Like that doesn't, I would much rather hear about your client load and, business development and getting a contract signed and, keeping the customers happy and increasing the amount that they spend with you and all that stuff. That's just much more interesting than the teal hat guy. But okay, 3rd paragraph. Yeah. I stood in the stairwell waiting for the whistle to deliver the jersey when, horrifyingly, the man stood up, shuffled past the people in his row, and exited down the section's opposite stairwell. He's going to get a beer or whatever. Delivering a signed jersey to an empty seat would be dissatisfying for the fans in attendance to watch, and canceling the promotion would have a negative effect on the team's relationship with that particularly large sponsor. Trying not to draw attention from the fans in the section, I determined the seat number of a nearby woman, as well as a backup seat near her. I notified my boss so that she could relay it to the graphics team to change the seat number that would appear on the Jumbotron. 3 minutes after the man in the teal hat stood up, the shrill sound of the whistle cued the promotion. There were groans and exclamations from the people around me as they realized they had not won the jersey. The graphics switched to a live shot as I hurriedly shuffled through the row until I approached the woman who was looking at us on the Jumbotron in total disbelief of what was happening. I shook the jersey in front of her as she threw 2 excited fists in the air.
Okay, it's too much about this stuff.
Way too much about this stuff. It's like, yeah, you could have said this in one sentence. You thought on your feet. You switched it to somebody else at the last minute so that you could keep the client happy. I mean, I don't know. I guess a skeptical reader is also going to go, you didn't think about that in advance?
Yeah, that doesn't happen all the time.
This is the first time. I don't know. I mean, yeah, maybe it is literally the first time they've ever done this, go out into the crowd and give somebody a thing. But I've been to lots of games of lots of different sports, and I've seen these types of things before. Okay.
Yeah.
Our image faded on the screen and was replaced by the sponsor's logo. The woman excitedly told me that I had just made her first team, insert team name, redacted. We'll call them the redacted. They're just the redacted, okay? I had just made her first redacted game, one she'd never forget. Making my way back down the stairs and onto the concourse, I passed the man in the teal hat. He was returning to his seat, appearing as happy as he could be with a refilled drink. I glanced at him and thought, oh, if only he knew. However, the fact that neither the man nor any audience member knew how badly the promotion had almost went, meant I had done my job well. My boss congratulated me on a smooth execution as I prepared for another giveaway the following period.
So wait, now I'm starting to get the sense you don't have a lot of sway in the back office operations of how these things come about. You just execute the delivery.
This is an awful theme for a law school personal statement. Sorry, but I would rather hear about almost anything else besides this.
I will give you this much. Is Kristen? Or who is this? Yeah, Kristen. You do write in a natural tone, and you don't use big words. You just kind of speak how you would.
Yeah.
And so I like that it's easy to follow what you're saying. We just need to talk about something else. Now, you do have some stylistic things that you could improve, but yeah, your writing is good. It's just not the right story.
It's short. That's good. It's like, I agree. It's tidy. She's not like trying to stretch to use a bunch of big fancy words or anything. That's good. But the theme to me just seems wholly inappropriate. I mean, I just can't imagine someone at a law school reading this and going like, oh yeah, this is going to be a great lawyer because look how she decided not to give this jersey to an empty seat. I don't know. Like, what is the point of that? Something unexpected happens every night working for the redacted. And in my experience, I have learned how to assess and resolve the situations calmly and quickly.
Oh dear. That's all telling.
Yeah, and you've given us exactly one piece of evidence, which was you decided not to give the jersey to an empty seat. Which, good on you. I mean, you thought quickly and you had them give a substitute seat. Awesome. But because of that, now in your experience, you have learned how to assess and resolve the situations, plural, calmly and quickly. Like what? Like what else you got?
Yeah. So let's talk about this. You have done some showing. You've showed us you doing something. That's good that it's showing, but you showed us the wrong thing. Now, here, you're telling. So this is an example of showing versus telling. Showing is good, but we need to show some other things. We need to show some hard work.
Yeah. Okay, this is the last paragraph. So I'll just try to make it through here. As I have gained experience and a positive reputation within the redacted franchise, I have been assigned to positions of leadership, including providing input on potential new hires and training the rookies each season. I have continued working this part-time job while working full-time as a case assistant at a law firm in redacted because of the nightly challenge it presents. Working in sports has taught me how to work under pressure, how to work long hours, and how to adapt to sudden change. I believe these traits will help me excel in law school, where I expect to gain the skills needed to pursue a career as a member of the legal team of a sports franchise. There, I will be able to explore the dynamic intersection of the law and sports.
Okay, everything about this last paragraph is horrible.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I agree. I would take this whole statement and put it in the trash and start over.
Yeah. So just focusing on these sentences one at a time, really quickly, it says, as I have gained experience and a positive reputation with this franchise, I have been assigned to positions of leadership, including providing input on potential new hires and training the rookies each season. Okay. So if you have been assigned to a position of leadership and you actually had opportunities to lead, that's what your personal statement should be about.
Right.
You're falling into this trap of let me gloss over a bunch of cool sounding things, but there's really nothing there, so I can't dig into them. I'm just going to kind of allude to them provided input on potential new hires. Right now I read that and I'm thinking, okay, so the person who actually made the decision was like, what do you think? And you're like, yeah, I kind of like them. And they're like, okay, great, we're going to hire them. That's not huge. Then you go on here and you say, I've continued working this part-time job, blah, 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 while working as a case assistant at a law firm. I want to hear about that. What have you done at the law firm?
Yeah, this job this job at the hockey team sounds like something that a high school kid could do.
Yep.
But you're a full-time case assistant at a law firm?
Yeah.
Let's hear about that.
What are you doing there? And Again, we got to do showing. Then you say, because of the nightly challenges it presents, that's telling. I don't know. Apparently it's so challenging. Working in sports has taught me. There you go again. People do this all the time. Like, this is what I've learned. This is what I know now. How to work under pressure, how to work long hours, and how to adapt to sudden change. Like, again, we just had that one example. And then this classic mistake, but people do this. I don't know why they do this. Just don't ever say this. I believe these traits will help me excel in law school. That's what they're deciding. You're not deciding. Where I expect to gain the skills needed to pursue a career as a member of a legal team of a sports franchise. It's like, I'm glad you expect to gain those skills, but like, and then this is just, again, this has to go. There, I will be able to explore the dynamic intersection of the law and sports. No, I mean, it's just, why do I not like that last sentence? It just predicts the future or something that it's like overly like academic. I don't know. Like, you're really going to explore the dynamic intersection of the two, or are you just going to work?
She doesn't have any standing, as far as we know. She doesn't have any standing to make that claim. Like,
she doesn't know anything about the intersection of law and sports.
As far as I know, you know nothing about law and sports. I mean, you haven't showed me that you do.
Did you work on a contract for one of these people, or did someone else and they told you, yeah, go down and give them this shirt, and if you don't give it to them, they're going to get pissed? That's not...
Yes, and sorry, Kristen. I mean, really, like, you know that we're doing this because we want to help you make a better personal statement. That's the only reason why we're doing this. But you don't have the authority to make that conclusion. You haven't provided the facts that would justify anything about a law and sports career.
Yeah, right now you're just a low-level employee. From what you've presented, this is what you look like: a low-level employee who is being tasked with fulfilling one aspect of this contract that you may or may not know anything about.
Yeah, if you actually hire and train people, then talk about hiring and training people, not handing out shirts. And
well, this is a classic thing too. Check this out. I've been assigned to positions of leadership, including providing input on potential new hires and training the rookies each season. Including providing input, like, as soon as you say that sticks out like a sore thumb. It's like, oh, so you're really not doing much.
Yeah, are you interviewing them? You could say interviewing. You could say I interview. Instead of provide. Like, what do you mean provide? And anyway, these new hires don't. It sound again from what you've portrayed. I don't see why a high school kid can't do this job. Hand a shirt and jump up and down for the Jumbotron? I mean, that doesn't seem like it's not lawyer shit. It's not even lawyer adjacent. It's not, if you were, I don't know, boy, I strongly encourage you, Kristen, to blow up this entire personal statement, start over, and tell me what you do at the law firm.
Yep.
You're a full-time employee at a law firm. I know people think that that's boring, but that's what it is. It's like serious.
It's serious. And if you can show yourself working in challenging circumstances on challenging cases, we had to do this, we had to do that, we had to do this, I was assigned this, and blah, blah, blah. When you get done and you say either explicitly or implicitly that you want to go to law school, they know that you know what you're getting into. You don't have to say, oh, I'm familiar with the, I believe that these traits will help me excel in law school. It's like, oh, you know what you're getting into and you still want to do this? Great. Come to law school.
It's like she decided she wanted to go for this sports law theme.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
or maybe that's why she wants to go to law school. And so she's like trying to connect it.
Well, I mean, that's what she's saying, that she wants to work, she wants to be a member of the legal team of a sports franchise. But I would not, I don't think you should say that. I really don't.
No.
You do?
No. How many people actually end up doing that?
Hardly anyone. I mean, it makes me what I think, and please don't take this as an insult, Kristen. I'm trying to give you the perspective. Like, this is what I think they're going to interpret when they read this. They're going to look at this and they're going to go, oh, so this kid is just trying to get some job in sports. Like, what she really wants to do is work in sports. There's nothing about this that makes me think you actually want to be a lawyer. It's just that you want to get a job working for whatever local team. Yeah. Million college kids think that they want to get a job in sports. I want to be a sports lawyer. I want to be an entertainment lawyer. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Don't talk about sports law. Don't talk about entertainment law. Talk about lawyer shit. Law school trains people to be generalists. So you, to make them believe that you're going to be a lawyer, successful law student and lawyer, I don't think talking about sports helps you make that case at all. I actually think it undermines your case. Mm-hmm. Not that there aren't sports lawyers, and not that you can't actually go down that path. I just wouldn't talk about that path. I would talk about, at my law firm, here's what I do to help my clients and firm be successful.
Yeah.
Just talk about you. You might think it's real dry, and oh boy, you're going to lose the excitement of this jersey giveaway, but I just don't think this is doing you any favors at all.
Yeah.
Thank you, though, for sending it in. We see lots of real bad personal statements. I mean, it's like...
Well, and I think probably what happened, Kristen, which is what happens to a lot of people, is because you're a good writer, what you're doing is you're reading each sentence, and you're maybe even reading it out loud, and you're saying, ooh, this sounds good. It's clear. It flows from one sentence to the next. And so then you're thinking, hey, this is pretty good. It's almost to where I want it to be. But you're missing the big picture.
Yeah. I suppose that's it's a decent hypothesis. She was working so much on crafting the story that she didn't realize that she was just telling the wrong story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, start over, Kristen. I mean, this is an example of one where, if she wrote another personal statement about her law firm, I mean, I would love to go through it on the show to just we could have a comparison, before and after. Because I think the impression that she's going to leave if she makes a law firm personal statement, she's just going to look like a completely different candidate.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, you want to wrap it up there?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Don't forget, you can join the Thinking LSAT podcast group on Facebook. You can follow us at Thinking LSAT on social media. Visit strategyprep.com if you want to learn about Ben's classes and services in DC. You can go to foxlsat.com if you want to learn about my classes in LA and San Francisco. We both do one-on-one tutoring, so you can visit those websites. LSATdemon.com is really the future of our business. People are absolutely loving it. We're using it in our classes. There's a 7-day free trial at lsatdemon.com. It's everything you need for a full LSAT preparation. You can listen to the show anywhere you can listen to podcasts. Go ahead and subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Stitcher, or you can just listen directly and read the show notes written by Adam Day on thinkinglsat.com. And I think that's it. That was episode 215 of the Thinking LSAT podcast. Thanks all y'all for listening. Nice knowing you. Don't pay for law school.